today I'm going to teach you how to make baskets out of salvaged materials such as electrical wire and glow sticks and piping and weed whacker wire and other kinds of things that you can find in the garbage or yard sales or things like that. So first of all, we're going to start with the coil method and do this little spiral coil here. So you pick two different kinds of wire to start. A thicker one that's malleable enough that it'll kind of stay how you want to bend it. And then a thinner wire that's going to be our, stitching wire. So I like to, when I begin it, cut a nice angle. When you take your needle nose pliers or round pliers, curl them into a spiral. Get it started as best as you can. And take your other kind of stitching wire. There's actually so many different ways you can do it, but this is one way to do it. Just kind of get it in there. You can always trim off the excess later. And basically start stitching it onto the row underneath. Just kind of hide that wire into it. You don't have to stitch all the way underneath either. You can just do a couple of loopy loops. Get some, let's cut this off. Couple loops around and stitch underneath. Oops, come back. It's always a little tough getting started, but once you get started, it's a lot of repetition and it's a lot of fun. So I'm doing 2 loopies and then a stitchy under. And if you're left-handed, it might be easier for you to do it this way and then stitch it this way, or if it's easier for you to go this way and stitch it under, whatever works for you. And you can change it around. You can just start off like this. You can do like 3 loopies or 5 loopies or whatever. And stitch it underneath. And you do that for a little while until you get bored. Sometimes it's hard to get the wire in there. You need to kind of wedge it out a little bit. Just take a little sharp something, shove it in there and kind of twist it and make a space for it so you can get that wire through there. Wherever you can get it to come up. When you come to the end of your stitching wire, get your next one ready. You're gonna do this a lot. You're gonna sneak it into the center thicker wire. And just kind of pretend like it's not there. Wrap it around as usual. If it's a little long, just cut it later. However many times you need to do it, or as little times. And then you switch rolls. This one's going to be going into the center, and this one's going to be coming out and doing the threading. See a little switcheroo there? And then just go back to doing what you were doing. You don't have to do it like, evenly. You can do like a couple of these and then do a stitch and then do a space and do it however you want. At some point, you are going to want to add some Flair. So I got a couple different colors here. Some more orange and blue and white orange, and then you just kind of shove those in there into the center coil. And then pick next color. I'm gonna go with blue. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add maybe some sort of decoration, a pattern of some sort. I really don't know what it's gonna be. We're gonna just wing it. So you'll be able to see everything, all these colors going through here unless you totally wind it and bind it. So I'm gonna do that just to show you. And then instead of going all the way this way, it gets all tangled up. You can go this way, just underneath here, and then you can get some mileage really quickly. And then this stuff is sticking out, but again, we'll cut it off later. Don't worry. So then you're gonna want to change colors. You can go ahead and you can loop it under and stitch it underneath if you want to, or you can do a couple different colors before you stitch it. You can get kind of far before you have to stitch it, or you can take it really far and then connect it down here and make a big hole in it, you know, all kinds of different things you can do. Switching colors, get all this stuff into the inside. I'm gonna make this orange color be the one that goes stitches underneath. At some point you get to the end and you just cut these off. I kind of try to stagger it a little bit so you don't have just one, you know, fat spot. And then I'm gonna do a couple more rows of these just because I want to. But I wanted to show you a little trick that you can do. If you wanted to get some mileage in real quick, you can just do a bunch of twisting. And if you don't mind there being little gaps and stuff in there, you can just do it like that. You can get some really long swooshes in there. Get pretty funky. You can make it like that or whatever. And then just stitch it in again. Just another stitch or two or whatever you feel like doing. Or a bunch or whatever. You gotta just go with it. If you want to put a bead or something in there, just grab a bead, put it in there, and then go. You can go in this way and then back up the other way. It doesn't matter. Ta-da! Got a bead. Or you can put them on this way and put them on the outside, however you want to do it. So when you run out of wire down here in the middle part, make a nice angle, cut it off where you want to. And try to make it in an inconspicuous spot sometimes. Same thing here, cut it at an angle, which I already did. Gotta kind of wrangle it sometimes. Of course, gotta get there. Sometimes I'll get the stitch ready. Get it ready. If it's really tough anyway. So I tried to use one that was kind of a difficult one. You just put it in there, stitch it on. Sometimes do a double stitch. Make sure it's on there good. Ta-da! Sometimes if you're doing a wild funky basket, you could do like, you know, twist a whole bunch of a wire around that spot so you don't see where the change is. Gonna fix it. Ta-da! But I don't care. I don't care if we can see it. I can always come back another, like the next round, and then, you know, bunch over top of it or something if I don't like it. Another trick you can do is, after you've done a good solid stitch onto the row underneath it, then you can bend this, make a little loop. And then just stitch it on in the next stitch. And kind of tighten it up. You could do another one, you could do like a stitch and then another one. You could just do one in the middle of nowhere. If you're feeling crazy, I'll do two. There we go, we got two stitches in the middle and two little loopies. You can tighten them up as much as you can. Some wires are better for this than others, but I'm just gonna use that one for now. It's gonna look weird, but you know, I like weird. Continue doing your little whatever you were doing. When you get to the top of your loops again, when you come around, you can just attach it like this. Easy as pie. Keep going. Okay, at some point you start running out. And then what? You don't want to think anymore. So I'm just going to use up all my white wire. You can just start stuffing pieces in. Making little bundles. Take these, cut the end off. These don't work. Put that in there. This is almost out too. I better stick something else in there too. So this is going to be replacing it. Put this in there too. Shove it all in there. Been still doing the wrappy round and then stitching. Maybe it's the lazy way to do it, but it's my way to do it. It's the way I want to do it, and it's the way you do it the way you want to do it. You add whatever you want to do it. You just be inspired by the materials that are around you and see what you make. This is kind of cool. It just goes right on that. Boom. with this one. Looks a little confusing, but you get to a point where you are wondering. Somebody said to me once, it's like having an identity crisis. Are you with these guys or are you with this one? And just keep adding stuff in there until you get what you want. And then when you start, you know, tapering out of things, just keep adding more stuff. And this is how, you know, the natives would do it with their fibers. They just take pine cones or pine needles and shove them in there and keep going around. And you can do this with anything that you find. You can use whatever you want to shove in there. When you're ready to start making the walls come up, you could have started at any time here to make it start to come up, but when you do, instead of just tying it onto the outside of it, you just set it on the top of it. You can position it so it's on the top of the disc and then stitch it on like that. And you can have it come straight up. If I wanted the sides to come straight up, I can just, you know, put them severely on the top like this. But I want mine to kind of gradually scoop up, so I'm going to come out a little bit and then just kind of position it in the spot that I want and then sew it on there like that. When you come to the end and you want to stop, if you don't feel like making some fancy border or anything, well, you can after you're done. Just kind of wrap it underneath there, a couple of stitches. I like to do at least 2 or 3. And then kind of get your thread and back into itself. Do as good a job as you can at like tightening it, tucking it in, taking some pliers if you need to, and like weaving it into thread in the back, behind. And then hide it. And then cut it. Ta-da! It's done. And if you have some parts that are like looking loose or something, you can take some pliers and just go like this and make some funky designs on there. It tightens it up. Make some cool marks. And I hope you enjoyed making a basket out of our new modern resource, garbage.